Alright, what's up guys? So in today's video, I am going to actually be riding with Gauntlet gloves for my first time ever. I got these gloves, I think I got them in the mail yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that, but I haven't had an actual opportunity to get out and ride with them. But these are the Joe Rocket GPX-2s, something along those lines. They're actually on closeout on Revzilla's website, so depending on when you are watching this video, they may be completely gone, completely out of stock, never coming back. But I feel like overall Gauntlet gloves, they're a specific style. I feel like my review is going to be able to cross over to different models and stuff. But what I had previously was these Alpinestars SMX2 Air V2s or something like that. I've actually had these since I first started riding a little over 2 years ago. So, they're starting to get, kind of gross. The Velcro isn't holding as well. It's coming off while I'm riding. I'm sure in some of my videos you can see me having to readjust them. Overall, though, they've actually held up really, really well. I mean, there's just some little bits of fraying on the seams. All the seams have held up really, really well, though. But so I got some new gloves. I got these ones. I've kind of been wanting to get a pair of gauntlets for a little while now, and I finally decided to pull the trigger. I found a really good deal on them. So in today's video, this is going to be my first time ever riding with Gauntlet gloves. So I'm going to do kind of a review of what they're like, as far as just commuting and riding, if they get a little warm, if they get a little more uncomfortable, what drawbacks or positives Gauntlet gloves would have over a short cuff style of glove, and kind of give you an idea of what they're going to be like if you are wanting to get into riding motorcycles and you're wanting to get a pair of Gauntlet gloves, or if you are already riding and you're just thinking about pulling the trigger and getting a pair kind of like I did. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Alright, so I'm out on the bike now, and I also want to give you guys a little bit of a warning. I am trying a different position for my microphone in my helmet, and so we will see how the audio turns out on this. I hope it turns out somewhat decent and you guys are actually able to understand me. I also want to mention that my girlfriend made me an omelet this morning. I woke up and she came in my room and she had an omelet and she was like, "I made you an omelet." And I was like, "Aw, that's so nice." But so, this is my first time ever riding a motorcycle with gauntlets. And in my review, I'm going to hit on a couple different areas that I would like to kind of talk about, and they are going to be comfort, the ease of actually riding in them, and how well I feel like they would protect me. So I guess we'll kind of talk about comfort to begin with. Overall, they're not bad. These are brand new gloves. Like I said, this is my first time ever riding in these, and I mean, with any leather glove, there's gonna be a little bit of a break-in period. So like, if you held like these gloves up next to the ones that I've been riding in for 2 years, you'll notice the ones that I've been riding in are kind of this sort of shape, and these ones are still flat, because that leather has broken in. It's taken to the contour of my hand. Obviously, like, when I'm riding, my hands are curled around the handlebars. And so over time, the leather will just kind of naturally take that shape. And so when you first kind of start wearing a pair of gloves, they're not going to be in that pre-curved shape. There's going to be a little bit of a break-in period. And so, when you first put a pair of gloves on, you may notice a little bit of binding, which I do. I can definitely tell that it's kind of like tight in between the fingers a little bit. Hitting the twisties. So I do notice a little bit of binding. It's not bad though. Like I said, that's probably just because it's a new pair of gloves. But then another thing, the pair of gloves that I previously had that I kind of talked about in the beginning of the video, they're an air style glove, meaning that they have mesh to allow airflow over the hands. These ones don't have that. They do have a little bit of perforation, and I can feel a little bit of air when I stick my hand out, not necessarily like in the palm, but like in the knuckles and the finger area. I can feel a little bit of air, but it's not a lot. Now my hands don't really ever get sweaty or hot, just naturally. You know, I have tiny fingers. My fingers are kind of skinny, so you know, I don't have a whole lot of padding in the hands department. So yeah, my hands don't really ever get sweaty or hot. That's not an issue I have, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. But reading some of the reviews on these gloves, that is some people said where they will stick their hands out and they really don't feel that much air, so their hands do get warm. So if you're notorious for having warm hands, you know, overall, just looking at different style gauntlets don't really ever have mesh or any sort of breathability to them, really. Like I said, these, as you can probably see, they do have a little bit of a perforation to them, so they flow a little bit of air, but not a lot. That'll probably be an issue that you will have regardless of what, you know, brand or model of gauntlets you get. I accidentally bit my cheek and now I taste blood. But as far as comfort goes, these are actually quite comfortable. They have like padding in the palms. They have a little bit more, you know, material in there for in case you go down. And I mean, like that, you know, definitely I can feel it when, like, you know, I'm on the handlebars a little bit. And I kind of like that. I kind of like having that little bit of extra padding. But comfort wise, these are actually quite comfortable. There's like a little bit of some seams like in this finger here, because like for some reason I don't know why it's designed like this. I'm sure somebody who knows a shit ton about gear could tell me, but like the seams are on the outside on these fingers, but then they're on the inside on other fingers. So I don't know the reasoning behind that. I'm sure there is probably some type of reason. I don't know it though. But so on like my middle two fingers, because the seams are external, that's actually super comfortable because there's nothing like poking you in the fingers. But then like the index finger and the thumb, they're internal seams, and so, you know, they kind of poke your fingers a little bit, but I mean, it just kind of feels like a lump. It's not like it's sharp or anything. It's not uncomfortable. It's just kind of, you know, if you wear gloves that have internal seams, you can feel them like kind of touching your fingers. It's like slightly lumpy, but I mean, that's something that I'm used to. So yeah, if this is your first pair of motorcycle gloves, and you know, you're gonna notice that. You're gonna notice that, like, oh wow, the two middle fingers, like, I don't feel any sort of a seam, but then this finger I do feel them. Not uncomfortable, just thought it was something that I should mention. As far as ease of riding in them goes, I was a little worried at first when, like, I first got these gloves and I tried them on at home. I had put this jacket on because, like, this is the jacket that I wear probably 90% of the time when I'm riding. And, like, I had put the gloves over them, and I was a little bit worried because when you go to tighten the Velcro on it, like it kind of like really hugs that jacket, and it kind of limits your range of movement. And I can kind of tell right there, like, my jacket's starting to pop out from underneath the glove a little bit. But today when I went to leave, I just I loosened that Velcro a little bit, and it's like range of movement is better. It's still kind of hard to like twist because it's like it grabs the jacket and it moves it too. So there's kind of a lot of binding and friction along the cuffs where it's like, you know, grabbing the sleeve and everything. And so that was kind of my only worry. But like I said, I loosened that Velcro a little bit so it would be a little more willing to move around, and that's definitely better. But even then, it's like when you're riding, like, your arms are pretty much in one position the whole entire time. You know, your wrists aren't really twisting or anything. But it's like throttle hand, like, I'm still able to move around on the throttle. I'm still able to reach up and grab the brake. So yeah, that whole wrist over jacket, the thing, I don't really know how else to word it, isn't really a concern of mine anymore. I mean, it's a little difficult to get the gloves on and over the top of a riding jacket. I'm sure if you're just wearing a hoodie or something, it wouldn't be as big of an issue. Now, one little gripe that I do have, because the fingers are a little bit thicker of leather, it's kind of hard for me to like reach up and grab the brake, because my bike, it does have a little bit of spongy brakes. I probably need to bleed them or something, but like where I would normally just go up, and I don't know if you can see that, but like if I'm going up to reach for the brake, my finger kind of hits the underside of the brake lever, and then I go to grab it, and so that's a little bit of an issue. And then also actually pulling the brakes, because like I said, my brakes are a little bit spongy, so I almost kind of bottom out on my fingers if I'm only doing like a one finger brake. Now, that was also a bit of an issue that I had with my Alpine Stars, so that's not exclusive to these gloves. It's just a little more exaggerated because the fingers are a little bit thicker of leather, because like, you know, they have that pad. I'm sure you can see that little red bump on the top. That's like padding, so it kind of bottoms out on those, which adds that little bit extra material. Overall though, rideability in these is pretty good. Those are really the only two gripes that I have about them. You see right now, like my brake lever is bottomed out on my fingers, so I would have to actually do a full hand brake, and that's a little more difficult, because then, you know, you're trying to get all that material up and over and then grab it. Now onto the protection side of things. Very thick leather. I don't feel like I would burn through these. Like if I were to low side right now at, you know, 40 miles an hour, I don't feel like I would have any sort of issues with the leather like burning away and my actual hands hitting the pavement. Now, these don't have palm sliders. Some gloves will have like a plastic TPU material along the palm as kind of like a slider. These don't have that. That's more in the higher end sort of race gauntlets, which these are not. But I still feel like they would be good. Like, you know, if I were to low side and I have my hands down, I don't think I'm gonna burn through, especially on the top side of the gloves, because it's got like a hard TPU in the knuckle. It's got the pads along each knuckle of the finger. I definitely feel like they would be protective. The only thing that I would be slightly concerned about is the wrists kind of have like an elastic material to kind of hug your hands, and then you have that little bit of Velcro to tighten them down. Well, like I said, when you're trying to put this glove over the top of a jacket, you can't really have that Velcro super tight, otherwise it's gonna bind and you can't really move, which, I mean, that, hey, that may be what it's designed to do. I don't know that, because like I said, this is my first pair of gauntlets. It's my first time ever riding with them. But I guess kind of my worry is that you can't really get these gloves tight, so I don't know if they may actually come off in the event of an accident. That's something that, you know, I don't know. Here, I'll fix that. Because like if I really tighten these things down, which even then it's not really wanting to cooperate with me. I mean, yeah, you really can't even get these tight. See, it's like binding, and you kind of have to get your arm in whatever position you need it in. Yeah, it just really doesn't feel like you can get these gloves super tight, so I'm just worried that, you know, if I am in an accident and I'm sliding like this, that the gloves may actually come off a little bit. That's really my only concern as far as the safety department goes. Aside from that, these definitely feel like really good gloves. They feel very well made, and yeah, overall so far I'm pretty happy with my purchase. I got these for $65, $68, somewhere around in there. They are on closeout, as I'm pretty sure I said in the beginning of this video. I really can't, aside from that little bit of binding in the sleeves, I really can't tell any sort of like difference in comfort from my Alpine Stars. I mean, if you're used to kind of a lighter weight, thinner glove, because, you know, you're a little more concerned about comfort, yeah, these probably would be a big change from you. But I mean, if I'm not really thinking about it, aside from just obviously the fact that these gloves need broken in, I mean, there's like just riding around like this, I can't even tell that I'm wearing gauntlets right now. So yeah, I mean, my first impression as far as just even getting into gauntlets, I mean, yeah, I have really no complaints about them. They're pretty fucking comfortable. I mean, they still seem to flow a little bit of air, which, I mean, in Nebraska, we get some pretty hot summer days. So, I mean, you know, that's a little important, but I mean, like I said, I don't really ever have any issues with my hands getting hot when I'm riding. But yeah, I'd say gauntlets are a good investment. They definitely feel like they would protect me. And yeah, I mean, they're pretty comfortable. They're still pretty easy to ride around in. So I give these gloves an A+. Not to mention the fact that they look fucking badass and you look like you mean business when you're riding. But guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you want to see more videos in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up while you're at it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you later.